So on behalf of the Untermyer Gardens Conservancy in the city of Yonkers, welcome back to Untermyer Gardens. Here we are really at the beginning of summer, and our hydrangea border is really putting on a big show. We talked about this border last year for a little bit, but I want to show you some different plants and talk about a couple different ideas. Our president, Steve Burns, has recently been visiting a lot of gardens, especially in shore communities, and really seen a dependence, shall we say, on hydrangea. And what he's seeing is a lot of monoculture planting of big borders of nothing but hydrangea, and oftentimes the same species of hydrangea. And while that can be really floriferous and a big show, we like to take an approach where it's much more of a mixed border, where we have companion plants, and it shows a little bit more diversity, and it shows a little bit more interest in what the visual is. And not only the visual is it taken care of, but there's also a danger of planting a monoculture. If a disease or an affliction or the environment changes to a point that one plant is affected, now your entire border is affected. And so what we've done here is much less of a trial garden where we're just experimenting with hydrangeas and comparing hydrangeas. We really tried to turn it into a garden-esque border. And so I'm surrounded by a lot of hydrangeas, but there's a lot of other interesting plants in here. For instance, this NANDINA domestica, and it's a cultivar called SEIKA. It's a much smaller NANDINA, or heavenly bamboo, and it has this emergent red foliage that works all year long. It's especially red in the spring and especially red in the fall, but you get these highlights and hints all through the year. And that really works well with the hydrangea behind it, which is a Hydrangea paniculata. It's a cultivar called DHARUMA, and again, it kind of picks up on that same color palette that we can see in the NANDINA in front of it and makes a nice combination. Stepping back a little bit, we have this really nice MACROPHYLLA hydrangea that has a white lace cap flower to it. The fertile flowers are in the center, and you can see some blue in that, and then a little bit of blue and pink tinged infertile flowers, which really put on the show. This is a cultivar called Teller Weiss. And so there's just a whole lot of different variety we can use in the hydrangeas from all the different species and all the different cultivars. Here next to me is another hydrangea macrophylla. This is a cultivar called AYESHA, and it has that sort of lace cap look to it, but really finer, delicate flowers. Lots of blues and purples and a little bit of pink in there. You all may already know that it really is the acidic level. The lower the pH of the soil that a hydrangea is planted in, the more blue or purple you're going to get. The more basic or higher pH, you're going to get more pinks and maybe a little bit more white coming in, but certainly toward pink. We're not worried about our soil acidity level. We like the pink and we like the blue. Blue's a more unusual color. A lot of people really fight to make sure that their hydrangeas are blue. We like the plant to do whatever it does in the existing soil, so we're not really trying to work on our pH in this particular bed. Stepping back a little bit from that, we have another macrophylla, but looking quite a bit different from AYESHA. It has much bigger infertile flowers and puts on a bit bigger show, much less lace cappy, and puts on these big blue and or pink balls of flower. And again, we wanted to mix things up with the hydrangeas. For stepping back a little bit, certainly not a native, we have a SALIX INTEGRA HAKURO-NISHIKI. It's this big tree, so you can grow it as a topiary, which is what we're doing here, and just kind of adds a fun shape into all these loose, billowy, blousy hydrangeas. This plant we bought as a grafted topiary. You can buy it as a small sapling and use it as a cutback shrub, or you can actually let it go to a fairly big tree. But that variegated foliage on this is a lot of fun, and we try to have fun with its shape too. And then also mixed in this particular planting is my favorite viburnum. This is a Viburnum sargentii. It's a cultivar called ONONDAGA. Compared to other viburnums, it has a little bit more delicate leaf to it. You get these lace cap flowers, which kind of mimic the hydrangea flower, so a bit of same but different design philosophy. The emergent foliage in spring is quite red to burgundy, and then it has a really great red fall color and some sparse berries on it as well. So I'm nestled in here next to this Trochodendron aurelioides, which is a rare Japanese wheel tree. We have it mixed in here with the hydrangeas as well, but we've been talking a lot about big woody plants, the hydrangeas and other companion plants, but no mixed border is really complete without talking about some low growing, ground cover-ish Perennials. Here I'm standing behind a clump of Carex pennsylvanicum, which is a sedge and really works to punctuate the end of this border and kind of cover up some of the naked ankles of the big plants we've been discussing. So last year I covered the same combination, but it's so strong I just want to touch on it again. Here in front of me we have a perennial Ligularia dentata BRITT-MARIE Crawford. There's several dark leaf cultivars of this Ligularia out there, but BRITT-MARIE Crawford is reported to have the deepest, darkest foliage, and it does carry its color all through the season, which is really great. And to have that dark foliage against this Hydrangea macrophylla lemon zest is just such a fun combination. Here again we have a little bit higher pH value, so we have the pink flowers instead, but even without the flowers, the chartreuse foliage color on this hydrangea makes it worth growing in and of itself. If anybody knows me, they know I can't help but plant Hydrangea quercifolia, or the oak leaf hydrangea. I just wanted to touch on this because these white flowers have already turned a bit tawny. It's late in the season for this particular plant at the moment, but we love the look of that flower and it'll maintain that all through the winter. So this is not something we would deadhead. We'll just keep those flowers going all through the year until next spring. And then one other plant that we grow for foliage alone is this Hydrangea macrophylla lemon wave. And if you take a close look at this foliage, it really is impressive. So in addition to those pinky blue lace cap flowers, we have this really strong foliage. So with this mixed hydrangea border in almost full song for the year, I can't seem to shut up about it. So I think we're going to take a break here and we'll look at the second batch of plants in the next video.